Yep.
Okay, great. Um, so what I've been thinking about, um, how to kind of maybe bridge the gap, and sometimes I think I get too soon into the tools, and maybe not enough into the concepts or the process. Because I say that because of the kind of the email questions I get lead me to think that somebody doesn't quite understand the idea of how would you use a library. What is a subcontainer like a drawer or a door or something? So just backing up, because you got to get the whole picture. You just can't understand how one of the tools works, because that'll work for you, but it's not going to give you uh, the whole power of the software. So in terms of structure, we have we have the project, and you see that it's a project because it's got this gray floor or square or whatever on it. And what I say, I don't know who who gave me this extra space on the side, one of the programmers, but uh, so this gray square is actually bigger than the specified project width and depth. Uh, but I guess it gives you a visual. So this point here is actually the point of uh, right there. That's where the left, the bottom, and the front are all equal to 0. So, and everything gets moved uh, to the right, to the back, and to the top when you make the containers bigger. And very quickly, if I come to this red corner, blue corner, and right click it, you see that it tells me that that blue dot is 10 inches from this blue dot, because this blue dot is 0, 0, 0. And that means that this assembly is 10 inches wide. And everything kind of works that way. So if I wanted to, when I get done putting in the assemblies, like cabinets or a bed or a bookcase, I'm done with the being on the project level, and I want to enter into an assembly level to work in there. Okay, so here's the assembly. I'm no longer in the project level, and that's what I have. So, excuse me, I'm going to turn that thing off. And and there's three things we do. We insert an object like a board. We set its size, and then we locate it in the design using the tools. Um, and again, it's all relative to that corner. When I double click on that board, it took me into the board level, but I want to stay in the assembly level. So if I just single click on that, I could do this. I can say, I want this to be, just do that again. I want this to be 0 and coming down like that. So the distance was 5, and then I changed it to 0. So now it's coincidental with the point of origin. And I can do the same thing here. In the bottom, it's got to be 5 inches from the bottom, or 0 inches from the bottom, and it comes back down. And all of our locating is done like that. You can also locate with the 3 tools. And I guess I am kind of getting back to get toolish again, but so I want to put this on the bottom. Say this is the beginning of a drawer, and that's a drawer slide up there. So I want to relocate that drawer slide. So I'm going to say that drawer slide is going to be 2 inches from the bottom. It's an inch tall. So in the calculator, if I change a value here and then I click out of that text box, these light up green, and they're saying to me, these are the two options you have to modify. If I came in here and click that, what it does is it says, well, okay, the top of the board is set at 9, the bottom set at 2, and so the height of that drawer slide, which would be a real big drawer slide, is 7. But if I change that back, come here, um, and do that, then I start to get I get the drawer slide in a more reasonable position. And for the meantime, I'm just going to delete that one. I want, of course, it seems the bottom of the drawer should be above the drawer slide. So I click on the drawer slide and I see the top of that drawer slide is 3 inches from the bottom of the drawer, okay, which is the bottom of the container. So if I came here, that top is 3. Just say I want this top to be 4. And click that. Now I have that. It's going to butt up top on that. Come here, and I'm just demonstrating the use of the tools. So this drawer bottom has a front value of 1. That means from the front of the drawer to the front of the bottom, it's 1 inch. So what I'll do is I'm just going to push that up front a little bit too. So see, I say that's 3 inches. I don't know. It's a 14-inch drawer side like that. And if I want to then butt this up against there, and this is the repetitive thing. It just happens over and over. And it's like after a while, I don't even think when I do, well, people argue about that in general, but usually when I'm doing this, I'm not that thoughtful. But I click this board and I see in the spreadsheet, the right of that board is 3/4 of an inch away from the point of origin. And I see in the calculator, it's 3/4 of an inch on the right side. So I came there and I'm going to set this left to 3/4 of an inch. And again, click off, got 2 greens. I'm going to say that's the right. And what I'll do is say, oh boy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over to the left a bit. Notice that the right is 1 3/4. So here, the left of this is going to be 1 and 1. And like that. Oops. Going to be 3/4. Like that. I put the drawer slide on the wrong side of the drawer. Actually, I think I started out thinking that was the cabinet. Again, you go here, you say the right is 1 3/4. If I right click that blue dot, I can say this is 1 3/4 and just scoot that over that way. So now I know that drawer bottom is butt against the side of the drawer. And it's a little easier here. I can hold down the shift key, grab the red dot, and just slide it over. And it just did click up. Left of here is 9 1/4. I over clicked it. So I'm just going to put it in there, 9 1/4, changing its width. And again, take this and I don't even have to hold down the shift key because I'm going to bounce up against the end of the assembly and it won't go any. I might even get a message saying that I've gone too far. So the back of this is 20, the back of that's 20. The reason it stopped going was because I was at the end of the rope. Now I want to put that drawer slide, of course, on the correct side of the drawer. So we have a tool for that, and I can say clone and mirror. And what it's done is, I'm going to get rid of this. And I'll take that and clone and mirror that. And then I'll take that. Yeah, now it's right. Okay. But of course, I changed the location on the sideboard, on the right sideboard. So I'm just going to grab the red dot, pull it away from there, hold down the shift key and snap it back up. Okay. And
So David, that when you do that shift, that automatically takes the board to the interior side of that, the right-hand side of what we're looking at?
it'll take it until it snaps into the next object, the board. Now, I could actually just pull this all the way over too.
Yeah, but yeah, okay.
That's
But
not what you
to your
want.
point, where you were, when you do that, it comes back and it tells you it's 8 5/8 on the inside of those boards, left to
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's probably an eighth off. I think this is 1.5, 8 1/4. So if the left of that's 8 1/4, I want this to be 8 1/4. And that's part of the flow. I do it all the time. And that's one of the big advantages of the spreadsheet is that you get to see that. So I look here and say, okay, well, that's my dog. He doesn't know what to do because I'm in here with you guys, and my wife is in the den with her book club, zooming, and he's saying, "Wait a minute, I'm in the kitchen and there's nothing in my bowl." Where was I? So what you can do is you can take things and sort of like I say on the diagonal. So this side has a right value of 1 3/4. So if I wanted to know where the bottom was going to be, I'll just say I could actually just copy that, come here and paste it, and but it didn't pick up the change on a paste. So I'll do that, and let me make a different change. Let me make this one. I'm going to make this top is going to be 9. So if I get out of there, just like the calculator, your options of changing something are with these 2 green buttons. So I say, well, I want the drawer bottom, I don't know, I want a 1/2 inch down there. I want this to come back to whatever the top of the other one is. Well, here it is. Side number 1, the top is 12. So I change that into a 12. And now I'm going to change the height. And that's up a 1/2 inch. It's 12 inches tall, and it's in the proper place. And I could do the same thing, but I could just delete that and clone and mirror. Oops, I had the wrong thing. Take this and clone and mirror it, and it's going to put it right back there. So the clones are, like next week's class or in the fall, but they will save you an enormous amount of time. Like for the bookshelf, if you're looking for how to put in, some 10 shelves 10 inches apart, you just do a clone in space, and that'll happen. I'll show you that in a while when our drawer gets bigger. So those are the 3 tools, and they really all accomplish the same thing in terms of locating and sizing, but here they do it dynamically so you can see it. Here it's one object at a time. I think I use this the most. And then, as I said before, to make these things connect with each other, I do that diagonal thing. Now, it used to be used a lot more before we did the features for clone and mirror and so forth. I think that diagonal idea has largely gone away.
So quick question. The spreadsheet we're looking at is based on the assembly you're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that each assembly you have would have an individual spreadsheet if you wanted to repeat it, for example, over and over again.
It would come into the same assembly.
But to create it, you could do a clone in space.
You could do that. Like, for example, and this is, well, you'll see. So I say clone in space. I want to clone in space to the left, and to make one of them, and I don't want any space between them. Oops, don't want
Zero.
any space between them. So I just say clone. Now what's happened is the container boxes, came up against each other. If this was out there and this was out there, it would look maybe more logical. But then what you can do, like if I'm going to go up and I'm in the project level, and I just want to give myself a little more room in this project. Where am I? Come on, project. So I'll edit project. And the height is going to be, say, 100. Width will be 60. And the depth will be 24, like that. So I can always change that. All right. If we're coming, so in the clone in space, I could take that same object to the left. Say I want to put 3 of those in there with no space between, and do that. Okay. So you can, and then the question that I used to get, I hadn't thought about it, but people want to know how many assemblies are there, and it really depends on the situation. Sometimes it's just very apparent what is an assembly and what's not. If you're going to put a bookcase next to a 3-drawer stack, it's going to be 2 assemblies. You could make it as one, but it just makes more sense. Think about how you would do it in the physical world in your shop. You would make the bookcase. You wouldn't make that all as one big unit usually. Make the bookcase, make the 3-drawer stack, and then you can save them to your library. You can resize them. You can space them. You can modify them. I think that kind of the classical example is an entertainment center. If you have, just getting somebody else in the room. There we go. Hey, Scott. So if you're doing an entertainment center, typically they have 3 tall columns and then the short column in the middle for the TV. Well, you'd make one assembly for the tall column, and you just take that and clone and mirror it over to the other. And then you could just take that same one, clone it, put it down the middle, and I'll show you this. You change the size of that. So I'm going to get rid of this, just to delete, and get rid of, no, I'm going to keep that. Now I'm mixing meta drawers. Get it? Metaphor, meta drawer. That's why I stopped doing these on Thursday nights, because Thursday I was cooked. So the left of this is 30. So what I'm going to do is, there's 2 ways to stretch this. I can make the box bigger, just the box. And the way to do that would be here. So I'm going to put in 30 there. Oops. 30 there, right? And I want to keep the left at 10, so it keeps touching the left side board. So I'm changing the width. Now what's happened is the container got larger, but I didn't change the size of the contents. And this is valid because you might want to then go into this assembly and add more boards or more structure in there and so forth. And the other way to do this then is if I came in here, I think this is, I think that was 20. Well, we'll see. No, I didn't mean that. So, oh yeah, I didn't mean that. So I'm gonna go 20, do the width. All right, so that's where I think it was. If I wanted to change that width and have the objects inside the container do the right thing, stretch accordingly, what I would do is I'd be at the project level, because at the project level, you're working on assemblies. When you're in the assembly level, you're working on the contents of the assembly. So these are the contents of the project and we're working on it. Now, if I came here and clicked the right red dot and say this is 30, now you see the difference, And if you have a complicated assembly with doors and drawers and styles and all of that, what happens is when I right click, you'll see that there's this cutting plane right here. And that's what determines what gets moved and what stays the same. If I'm going to the right, as I did here, anything that is completely to the right of this cutting plane is going to get moved by the value. So in this case, it got moved 10 inches to the right. Anything totally to the left in this case of the cutting plane stays the same. And anything that the cutting plane touches gets stretched or shrunk. Okay, so it's going to go this way or it's going to go this way. That's kind of a simpler way of putting it. And on that cutting plane, it's going to go down the middle and you can move it. So say, for example, you had a stack of drawers in here, or you even had a face frame that you did not want to add 10 inches to. What you do is you just take this cutting plane and just move it over. You won't notice it now because there's no difference in effect, but it's the same thing, except the cut, it's going to happen here instead of over there. So if you had a drawer you didn't want to fool around with, just get the cutting plane off of the drawer and you don't have to worry about it. Okay. And then of course you can stretch these in different directions. So say I want to go, here's an example of that cutting plane. I'm going to take that cutting plane and drop it. Oops. This one, I'm going to drop it underneath the shelf. Then I say, I want to have the height be 36. And there it is. And you see, because the shelf was above the cutting plane, the shelf got moved up by the 36 inches or 26 inches or whatever. Yeah, John?
You moved the drawer slide too, huh?
Yeah. Well, you got to, that's what I was saying. You got to pay attention to, what I could have done. Let me go out of that. Okay. What I could do is I could say, I'm going to come here and I want to make it 36, just like I did. But this time, I take, I just move the cutting plane below the drawer slide. If I come up here, again, 36. And then I would just take this and move it like all the way to the bottom. Take that, move it all the way to the bottom. Now when it happens, the drawer slide's fine. There's also that didn't quite work out the way I wanted.
So it moved it all the way up in the air. It's floating.
No, you know what I did? I actually put the cutting plane underneath the sideboards.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll bet you $1 that that's 36 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be a little bit careful where you're doing that, but there's a tool to help you with that. And if I select, let's get out of there altogether. I select that assembly, and what I can do is I can resize. I want to resize towards the top. I'm going to stretch, and then I can say, where am I going to put the cutting plane? I'm going to put the cutting plane down here, like say 1 inch off the bottom, 2 inches. I want to stretch it by, the new height will become 36. And ta-da! Okay, so that time it did the right thing. See if
Hey, Dave, are you using?
I see a lot of faces with.
Hey, Dave, are you using a Mac or are you using an IBM based
I'm
software?
using the Windows. Yeah, Windows.
Your Windows. And so do the cadences or the key differentiate between a Mac and an IBM based?
No.
Okay. And the things that you were just doing with your mouse, can you do shift control or something like that with arrows just to move things so it's not quite so if you want to just kind of nudge something?
Well, I have to tell you, James, that I nearly never drag things. And it was kind of a dispute in early Sketchlist days because there was no dragging at all. Because
Yeah.
I can't take that shelf and bring it out and drop it at 16 5/8. I can't do that. Not without a lot of tries. So what I like to do is I just like to say this is going to be whatever 12 and 3/16, and I absolutely know that that's where it is. So the dragging isn't,
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
So it's all, yeah.
It's really meant to be formula. It's a parametric system. It's formulas, entering values, changing values, calculating like that. So.
And Dave, how do you display the cutting board again?
You just come up in the project level. You select the assembly that you want to change, and you right click on one of the red dots. So if I wanted to make it bigger, there it is. You see it?
Got it. Okay.
Then I can say, well, this is 55, like that, and it scoots. All right, and then at any time I can say I pick this thing, I say add it to the library. All right, and I say close. Zoom is actually decent on the it's saved on the when you pick an application. I don't know how much you work with it, but some of my windows fail to be identified by Zoom in that case. So if I want to add something to the library, to the design, come up here where it says add object in the upper left-hand corner, going from the library, right? And that was a drawer. Well, it wasn't a drawer. It was, I didn't actually start off making it a drawer, but if it was, it would be under the drawer category. I started out thinking I was making an assembly, and there's my assembly, and here it comes back. If I go up, from the library. Oh, I hit cancel. There it is. All right. And then I can take, look here, top of this is 17. Bottom, oh, I'll show you another one. If I come here and grab that blue dot, copy it. So I'm taking the value 55170. And I come here and then paste it, 55170. It'll come right in there. And that's just a real shortcut in terms of how to locate things where you want them to be. Pondering questions?
So in this example, you've got 4 assemblies right now.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll see that in the spreadsheet, and then I think I hid. Where did I hide? Anyway, there was a ladder, that showed you the outline, but it's just the same thing as it is here. If I want to go directly to that drawer slide, all I have to do is click it, and I've got it. Okay, and those are like the basic building blocks. Now I'm going to put a drawer inside of my drawer, and to do that, I select the assembly. In this case, this is the assembly, and I don't fill in everything because of time, but I kind of seriously advise you, when you make an object, board or whatever, give it a name that you can recognize. Because if you get into a situation where there's 500 boards, knowing something is board 0-5- it doesn't help you much. Like here, I don't know which one that is. That's that one. Okay. But I want to put a real drawer inside of my drawer. So I pick the assembly I want. I go into the assembly level, the gray floor disappears, and I'm going, let me do it a little bit differently. So I got to put a drawer into assembly, let's say number 1. All right. So I come to the drawer icon, and I just click it. It's a drawer. Give it some kind of name. Now, what it does is you can then pick the container that you want to put that drawer into. So I said drawer 1. So I'm going to go to that. I'm going to pick that. And now you're going to see it's the calculator again. So you only really have to know the calculator. You don't even have to use the spreadsheet, but the calculator comes up over and over and over again, and it helps you size and locate an object. So in this case, I'm looking at assembly 1. Assembly 1 is 20 inches wide, more or less. So I'm going to say my drawer is 18 inches wide, maybe 2 inches, so it's 16, something like that. And I put the drawer in that way. The height of the drawer is 18. I can leave that. And the depth of the drawer is 18, like that, going like this. And then I insert the drawer. Now, that is the drawer. Sometimes people expect a fully developed and designed drawer to come up. If you want that, go into your library and grab a drawer there. But if you're starting from scratch, you have to build it up from boards. And that's kind of the next big part of Sketchlist is what is a board and how do you work with it. So the new board form is this, right there, add board. And when I click it, it's more encompassing. Say what a board needs is a name. I'll call that the panel front. And here I want to put it in that drawer, the drawer I called center. And you pick the material. So say I'll go down here for the drawer, right? Now width, if you see on the spreadsheet down there, let me fix this a little bit. Okay, so it's width, height, and depth. So the width of that drawer is 15. So I make the width of the front panel 15. The height is 18, so I'm making this 18. Oops. And the depth of that board then is 3/4 of an inch, which is the thickness, right? 3/4. And because it's the thickness, I want to point that out. It's the thickness. And you see that the board looks like the front of a drawer. If I pick that to be the thickness, that's the drawer bottom. And if I take that, that's the drawer slide. So the one I really want for this application is thickness is equal to front to back. And then I'm going to put in the grain direction. Sketchlist is depending on knowing the thickness of the board and the grain direction, because what it does is it compares that to your material, to your source material, and it checks and makes sure the thickness is going to fit there, and then it's going to take, given the grain direction of this board and the grain direction of the material, can it fit on there? So if you have it set up so like the width of the board was 55, and the grain direction made it so that the 55 it would be put on the 48-inch side of the material, and you get an error message. So that's why you're doing this. You got to get it to fit here. You get it. You will then have it be processed by the cut list, the parts list, and the optimizer. We need all of that stuff. And I'm just going to add the board. And there it is. You see the grains running side to side like that. Okay. We're going to do a couple boards because put in the side board. So this is going to be side left. And I'm going to pick this material for that. It's kind of crazy. And the depth, if I look at that drawer, the depth is, what did I say? That's the depth. The depth is 18. So this is going to be 18. Now, the height is going to be, I'm going to say 6, and the width is 3/4. Now we know that the width, 3/4, that's the thickness. And typically in a drawer, you'd have the drawer side grain running front to back like that. And then I'm saying I'm a little bit smarter than the average person, and I'm just going to say, I know that drawer isn't going to have a left of 0 because it's going to be way over there. So I'm just going to temporarily put that in there, put that in there. And the front is going to be 3/4 because the front panel is 3/4, and I want it to butt up against the back of that panel. And let's just see what it does. Okay. All right. So, okay. So the left of that was 0. So this should have been just, say, a 1/2 inch for a drawer slide like that. Just guess and then fix. And then I can come up here, right click that, say this is going to be 9 inches tall. Right. Then I could go in and I can put the drawer slide in. I won't because it's exactly the same process. Take that side and clone and mirror it, and there it is. And you'll see it's got the spacing in there that you wanted and needed. Put in another board, which is going to kind of replicate the front panel. It's going to be the back. Let's try yet another wood. With, and I say this a bit, and I don't care. Some people, they get real detailed about calculating the space between two boards and such. I don't, because I consider it a waste of time. This is going to be 9 inches. I could just about see the bottom of that spreadsheet, but the width is 9 and the height, I'm sorry, the height is 9 and the depth is going to be 3/4 because that's what a backboard looks like, except it would be pushed backwards. Okay. Grain direction on that back is going to run the width. And I think I know that that's a 1. Bottom, say I make that 1. And I'm not going to fool with the front because I don't want to calculate that. So I drop that board in there and there it is. Now what I can do, just take this slider and move it all the way to the back like that. Spin it around. And so the top of that is 11. The top of this is 11. And bottom and top are two sides of the same coin. And take the red dot, hold down the shift, and slide it over. You should just see it snap. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. And of course, you could make those sides higher. Bottom board, it's exact same process. Okay, gonna do that. Don't care. This is going to be 3/4 of an inch, which is the thickness. Depth is going to be that. And I do know, I'm going to put the grain direction that way. Bottom, say I'm going to put it up a half, and this is also 3/4. I'm not accounting for joinery here. So I've got that same opportunity. Now, if I spin it on the inside, pick up this blue dot, right click it, copy, apply, right there. Now I'm going to take that blue dot, paste, and there it is. Now all I have to do is take that. I'll do the shift drag like this. Take that and shift drag that like that. And I'm declaring our drawer complete. So if I go in, oh, that is the drawer. If I go back to the assembly, all right, I got a little cleanup to do in terms of the locating of the drawer. So I'm going to grab, say, that blue dot, copy it. If I take this blue dot and paste it, but what I want to do is I want to slide it over. So the left looks pretty good. The bottom could use a little help, 1 inch, and the front is fine. So I just paste that.
So you make the sides, but not all the toner.
There you go.
Okay.
Now I look and I say, oh, I missed the proper width. Come over here. The right of that, or the left of that is, I'm going to just change that, 19. Nobody is going to tell that. So if I come to here, I'm going to say the right is 19. And then the drawer fits. And of course, it wouldn't have been 19, it would have been 18 and 7/8 or whatever, but you get the idea, right? I'm going to get rid of the drawer slides because they look dumb. And there we go. And we can do the same thing with a drawer. And this is what I'm saying. When you have something in your library, first of all, you want to make it your whatever that's called, seed corn. You want to make it, you want to have things in your library that are probably smaller than larger, because you can always expand something and not get into trouble. But sometimes when you have, say, a cabinet, and the way that the black cutting plane and everything is, sometimes you're squeezing it down, and you might hit a I don't know what, a drawer pull or something, and you get an error saying that nothing fits. So just generally, my library objects are smaller. So
David, quick question, David, on your comment about not taking into account joinery.
Yeah.
How do you is there a way to do that in this?
sure. Let's take that shelf, right? That board, the shelf, and I'm going to go to the detail level of that board. Now, this is another layer of the
Cut
high.
this down to the bottom of the table.
What I'm going to do is
You should cut this down at the bottom of the table.
this edge. I'm just gonna,
It does create a cut list though.
and then I'm going to take that, shift it, oops. And take that and do that. Now I want to go and do joinery. And do it on that end and that end. Don't pay attention to the colors. That was a mistake. And I want to put a tenon on. And this is a mess too. This is going to go away sometime this summer. But you can take the default values, or you can make them full, and then if I click automatically center, it says, well, look, there's the result of that. If I say a 1/2 inch, and automatically centers, there's an 1/8 and an inch on either side. So 3/4 automatically centered, and there we are. And that's true on both ends of that board, right? Now what I'll do is just save, come back into the assembly, and you can't see the board itself because it's in the wood, but you can see the outlines of the tenon. Now, if you wanted to, and I do, put a mortise up there, what I would notice is that the bottom value here is 23. So I take that board, go to the detail level, take the inside or the left edge of that board, say I want to put a dado on it. Right? And I know that the bottom of that is 23 inches, like that. Point B, I might set that back an inch. Oops, I want a rectangle. Height, it'll be 3/4 of an inch. Width is going to be up here. The board depth is 20, and I've got a 1 inch setback for B value, so this would be 19. The depth of this is going to be 3/8. Oops. 3/8, like that. You just say save.
And that takes into account the haunch. If you bring the shelf level to the face of the board.
Yes. The tenon, you mean?
Well, the tenon is going to have a haunch because it can't come all the way to the front unless you're bringing it set back from the face of the board.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So what you do is you just make the dado less wide. You could do it front and back. You could say give it an inch on the front, an inch on the back, and it would have.
Yep.
18-inch width on that. All right. And that's the one thing I'll say about like clone in space. What you want to do is, if you know that that's going to be the detail on this board, you want to do it before you do all the cloning, because it doesn't, you want to clone everything. Oops. Now let's make sure I've got the thickness of this has to be 3/4. And that, like that. And then what it's saying is, hey, you've made some modification to the board and changed the sizes. It's just a heads up. Because if you shape a board, make it into a circle and change its size, it's going to change it could change the shape. So it's just something to pay attention to. Now I can go back into that and again say, go to board detail and grab the front and say, I want to put I want to contour that edge. What I'm saying is, let's say, balloons. Taking all the default values, and there it is. And it does, in my opinion, it makes a difference when you're looking at this is just a more finished look than the other shelf like that. One other thing you can do, you can take that board and you can go to board detail level. Now, I could take that and I could throw in a round hole. And this is going to be 4. This will be 4. The diameter is going to be 2. The depth is going to be 3/4, like that. Save. So now I've got a hole. Now, if I wanted to do that, say for on a side panel for shelf pins, I would make that whatever, 1/4 of an inch, and I would only make it 1/4 inch deep, whatever that length of that shelf pin is. I'm going to try one more thing. I don't know if I'm going to. No. So what's happened is to this board is I put on the joinery, I put on the contour, and I sunk a hole. And as far as Sketchlist is concerned, that board's done. So you want to shape it. What you should do is go to the board before you put the details in, shape it, and then you can put the details in. And the reason that is once we get to this point on a shape tool, we really don't know if your shape is going to intersect that hole or run across a bulldoze. It's just not, it's just not that sophisticated to know what happens when you run a radius around a bullnose. It just, so shape your boards first and then add details. That's the tip. That's the big tip. And we come in here, and there we are again. Anything else? Any other questions before we move? Okay. From here, let's see. Early time. Well, we're almost at the end of the hour. What I'd like to do is just take a quick hit on the reports to make sure we get those done, and then we can chat some more. So the reports are basically 4. 5. This I'll show you that one in a bit. Export. I can do a cut list, which everybody has. Hobby users and professional users have the cut list, and there it is. So you see, you get the overall assembly, you get the sub-assemblies, which in this case was a drawer. I see it's repeating. So you get the assembly, a drawer, and then these are all the parts that are in that assembly inside that drawer. So it's assembly part name. And then you get the cutting information: cut thickness, cut width, and cut length. the type of material. This is sheet goods, maple, oak, maple, and so on. And all you can take that and put it out to a CVS file for importing to Excel, or you can just print it. The cousin of that report is the parts list report, and this is in the pro version only. And you have access here to every element of information that's in the database, everything. So if you wanted to make a report out of, so I'm going to say assembly part name. And what I want to know is, where are they relative to bottom, left, and front? It's maybe it's a valuable report, and just generate that. And so this could be something where you're saying, I don't know what, but it gives you an idea that anything that's in that database, the location of holes, the kinds of contours, and of course, just a plain old, I don't want this. Oh, I got it. Okay. Take all of these, get rid of them, and just put a subassembly, subdetail, part width. I want the cut sizes, cut thickness, cut width, cut length, material type, material name. Put 4 edges here. Again, I'm kind of flying. Yeah. And then just generate that. Parts list report. Oh, expand off. Oh. I'm not sure why that's not giving me what I thought it would. All of those. Sort them there. And generate. All right. Yeah, something that I don't understand about that is going on, and I'm not going to try to debug it on a Zoom call. So those are the parts reports. Then the other popular report is the shop drawing. So you say shop drawings new, and this is a place where you want to pay attention to what you want to dimension and where you are. So if I want, for example, like an elevation of a wall, which is a project, and then I would stay at the project level, which I am. Now in the project level, just like you can't design inside of an assembly from the project level, all you can really do, and here's the line tool right there, all you can really do is take the information about the sizes of the assemblies. You can't go into an assembly. Okay. If you want to go point to point, that's this tool right there. And say I wanted to know the total distance between there and there, it's 45 inches, which is maybe a little bit off. Sometimes what happens is they don't touch the exact, you see this line is not exactly horizontal. So I want to get rid of that. And I'll do it again. Point. And to fix, there. What's happening is it's looking for a corner. Go there. And go there. Yeah. And that's just not off. I don't know exactly how I would solve that. If I'm going to get out of there, I'm not going to save it. Shop reports again, but first I'm going to grab this, go into that assembly, and now I'm going to do the shop drawing again. And now I can go into the inside of the assembly and do like this. I can't pick up that area. Sometimes I think it's a resolution problem. Something's, oh, I know why, because that's the drawer. In order to dimension the inside of the drawer, I have to go into the drawer level. Right now I'm at the assembly level and everything, everything's just fine here. Now that's just the drawer size, and that's the drawer size. So you could dimension that all up. You could even, do these little guys like this, right? And then if I wanted to go into the, I'm going to save that for the printing. So if I wanted to go then into the drawer, go to the drawer, it's the drawer, and I am going to hide in the spreadsheet toward the right side. There's a column for hidden. So I'm going to hide the front of the drawer so I can draw the drawing. Shop drawing new. Yes, it gives you a warning saying you hidden the board, and that's just helping you out a little bit. So then I come in here, and now I'm inside the drawer. I can get to drawer bottoms. So your there. That's the overall drawer size, the width, and then on the point tool, what else might I want to know? I might want to know the distance between here and there. It's 3/4 of an inch. Now I can take the arrow, take that, and I can flip that, and that's also 3/4 of an inch. Get up to sort of a diagonal, and so on. And those are the shop drawings like this. And then the final report that people use, people that are using the pro version use a lot, well, with every project, is you want to optimize your cutting layout. And I'll try to get this into the little box that Zoom has given me. So the idea is we're laying out sheet goods, and there are a couple filters. I can take this and move that over a bit. The CNC people are particularly particular, and they, one guy mentioned that he wants to be able to specify which surface is it, the front surface or the back, the bottom or the top or whatever, because of the way he cuts things, and that's fine. And you can other filters, and you can come in here and say, well, I'm just going to be cutting cherry, not cherry. I'm just going to be cutting oak and oak like that. So now if I hit the optimize button, what you'll see is the layout for the oak sheet. And you can, I don't know if you can see that over the Zoom, but it identifies the material oak and it shows you the parts. So if I come here, I can, so this is part number 3, part number 2. If you want to know what that is, it's part number 1. You can have Sketchlist lay out the cutting lines so you can know where to cut. You can change the blade width, or usually people doing this might be running a CNC and they've got a 1/4 inch router or something like that. Like that. And then what happens, you can go in and say, well, I optimized the whole thing. And a suggestion that was made is that, there might be a circumstance where you're just going to make one assembly on a given period of time. So you can say, I want that assembly, and just optimize for that. And where people seem to use that a bit is if you have, maybe you've got drawers, if you're making drawers, and you can just restrict this to just show the drawers, and then optimize that, which I did. Now what happens is, if you optimize something, Sketchlist is assuming that you cut it. So even though I picked that bottom piece there, actually what I wanted to do is that. So even though, there we go, bottom, same thing. But even if you might have cut that board, you want to do it again, you have to go back in and respecify it. Okay. If you're running CNC, here's our export to a DXF file, and it works really well. We've got, I don't know the exact number, but I'm guessing we probably have a couple dozen people using CNC machines, maybe more. And then a purchase list. So you can go to purchased and say, I want to know material, I want to know the sizes, of course. Cost per unit, total units, total cost, like this, and then generate that report. Now, what this is doing, it's taking a different slice. Now, of course, we only had one board and a piece of oak. So this is telling us that we need to buy one sheet of 4x8 oak. It's $150 a sheet. You had one unit, gives you $150 for total cost. I don't know if I can change this here. Say it grew up to be 160. Oops, 160. No, that didn't work. Okay, put it back to 150. And if you had a lot of materials, this would be a long purchase list. And I am told that that it's spot on. People never complain about the accuracy of that report. And then we're out of the optimizer. Running pretty much finished. When you come back from the shop drawings, you're always in the front view. So if you can't spin your design, you just got to turn it into a perspective. You do the photo rendering. If you have the professional version, and you can send that out to PDF or bitmap or something like that. See if I can get this. I export this to PDF. Yeah, so I want to unhide that front drawer panel, and I want to go to the drawer slides, and I'm going to export to PDF. Okay, and it is in documents. Now, if I start my copy of Adobe, and I'm not guaranteeing it'll run under any other PDF alternative software. We just, nope, I don't want that. Open drawer slides. Ooh. And then there's some security stuff. You have to say, trust this. You have to say, essentially, trust it again. And there it is. Now, what I find, there it is. What I find is that generally, I hate to say it, but generally the PDF option gives you a better appearance. They handle that grain direction better. But the other thing is you can do is if you're showing this to someone, like I had that front door panel hidden, I just come here and hide it again. Or you could go in here and say, I want to hide this or whatever. So it's kind of cool. I don't know way to tell how many people really use it, but those who use it love it. And again, it's like a sales tool, right? Great. And that's pretty much it, unless if you have questions, we can keep going. I'm happy to talk.
Oh, yeah, Dave. Sorry, go ahead, James.
No, go ahead, Neville. No, go ahead.
Yeah, just a reminder about the library question. And second of all, let's say the 3 assemblies you have there,
Yeah.
let's say they were all the same height, and you wanted to put one long top across all of them. Is there any way to do that?
Great question. You would do that. I think these are the same height. So what I would do is I would go in and I would put an assembly in, right? Just call it long. And I'm just putting it there like that. If I come into back here, say, look there, the top of that is 17. So the bottom of this, and this is one you could probably do better in the spreadsheet. 17, and I come here and say, I'll use the spreadsheet. Come there and say the right is 55. So here the right should be 55 as well. And I'm going to change the width. Height, I'm just going to simply and arbitrarily make that 2 inches like this. And then look, the back of the assembly is 20, so I want the back here to be 20, right? Here's my green spots like that. Now I put a board in there. I say board, top, long, and say we're going to make it steel. Width 12, height 1, depth 6. That's the thickness. That could be, even though it doesn't make any sense with that. There you go. I come into that assembly. Oops, there we are. Come in the assembly, grab that red dot, grab this red dot. Oops, grab that red dot. And here I'm just sliding. Here I'm going to change that from 1 to 2, so it's a nice big thickest. Don't call me when you have to move it. There.
Okay.
And last week we talked a little bit about the crown moldings and such. What you could do is you could just take this and kick it back a couple inches. Well, actually, better than that. You could take that. Let me find the front. It's the front. So I'm going to grab that and do a contour edge. Then the contour edge will be cove. And I'm going to put it on it. And I can spin this so I can see what I'm doing. The value, it's the whole width of the top. and the radius is, say, 1.5 inches, like that, and save. So now you've got, and I could have wrapped that around here. I can do the same thing there and there, so it looks, like they meet evenly in the corner. And there you go. Okay.
Okay, nice.
And then what I'll do is, on the question on the drawer in the assembly, I'll just do it. Say I'm going to go from the library, and I want to pick a drawer. I think I have one. There it is. Add that. It's saying where. Oh, do it there. What did I do? Yeah, there's my drawer. And this is what I'm talking about.
Resizes.
You have to think about the size of what you're bringing in, and the container size and everything. But now what I can do is I could take this and just say the width is 12, like that. I got a slightly different drawer. Add to the library. Oh no, I almost did it again. I want to go into that assembly. I want to grab the drawer only and add it to the library. Now this should give me, there it is, drawer. I could make some notes and things, but I'll just save it. And the save button is here. But it takes a minute or two.
Dave, while
Oh,
that's doing that, the
system
optimizer you were showing before, does that take grain direction into account?
You know what? That all broke up. I just heard static. Can you repeat
Sorry,
it, please?
the optimizer, when you were showing things like being able to show blade width, for example.
Yeah.
Does the optimizer take into account grain direction as part of that, particularly in the sheet goods?
Absolutely. That's why you have to specify the grain direction
Okay.
or the. Now you have an option to say no grain direction, but honestly, I've never noticed much of a difference between,
Yeah, other than how it looks when it's done.
right.
Yeah.
So now what we do is we have the new drawer inside the library. So now oops.
Set up.
I want to come in here and say from the library, I'm going to go to the drawer category. Now there's my drawer. You see it?
Okay.
Started out with this one, and we ended up with this one that's 12 inches wide, and that's 17. So if that's